everybody. We are live. My name is Paul Murphy. This is the Monday Night Live webcast from Forge and Narrative. I've got Justin Troop here with us.
What's up, guys?
And joining us for the first time, Andrew Whitaker.
What up, what up?
Hey, man. We've talked about you a lot on the show before with your performance with Blood Angels. And so anybody who plays Blood Angels, you're welcome to hang with us and be on the show.
That's right. That's right. If you are a clown enough to show up with one of the worst codices in the game and try and win with it, you'll get on the show.
Man, I was hoping I want to talk about some of the Mon-Cop formations today on the show, because as we move forward into tournament season, we're going to see these things pop up more and more. And it's kind of nice just to familiarize people with what we think are maybe some of the more powerful ones.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, we didn't get any love for the Blood Angels. We got that new character model, which we've talked about is beautiful, and I cannot wait to put him on the table. Got to find reasons to do that kind of stuff.
Counts as.
Yeah, he looks incredible. I wonder because they released him. So do you remember when Captain Carl came out in the whatever the Carlane or whatever his name is?
Oh, the Deathstorm guy.
The Deathstorm guy, and then they released his model individually and called him a Terminator Captain. So I hope that they're going to pull a reverse action on that and give this new Chaplain model a special character that's actually worth something. That'd be great.
Yeah, that would be great.
He's plastic, so the only thing that's bad about him is his melt-a-pistol. I mean, and I say bad because it just cost a lot of points. It's certainly not bad.
Well, you take his Chaplain head off, and you put a death mask on, and you cut the head of the Crozius off, and you put an axe head on, and you got a better-looking Dante. That's what I'm doing, at least.
there is that. Okay, we've gushed about this Justin model.
Justin,
dude,
wait.
You're breaking up, Andrew.
I love what Justin just said. I gotta pause there.
Yeah.
He basically just. Oh. Can you hear me?
No, go ahead. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, you basically just did the whole if she got a nose job and she got a boob job and then she had liposuction and she blah 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 and then she was more charming and more intelligent, then I would date her. That's what you just did to that Chaplain.
Nip Tuck is near and dear to my heart, and
before we talk about a lot of cool things going on with FTN for a second, I want to give some shout outs to folks in here in the chat. We got Gabriel, Bill, Kent, BC, Steve. And Alan Kemp that I see so far, thanks a lot for joining us. We know that during the holidays it's hard to make time, and we appreciate that y'all did. And if you're catching us on YouTube and you have not already subscribed to this channel, please do. I want to remind you that we have a new feed in iTunes, which is doing very well. It's very nice to see us rank so highly, but subscribe there if you have not done so already. Troy, just see you popping in. That is Andrew Whitaker, and he is he's very short. He's going to zoom in on his head.
He's a tall drink of man.
Yes, I'm as tall as I am good looking. Yes.
Hey, in spades.
In spades.
Yeah. So with that, the new feed in iTunes, please subscribe there if you have not already. We've got a blog going now on forgeandnarrative.net, and people are publishing articles to it. I mean, just in the last couple of days, we've had a couple of new articles posted, and there will be more. And I'm still working out all the kinks, but I thought, why not? With all this change, we might as well do some extra content. I'm also writing for Bowls, so there'll be content on Bowls from us and content on FTN ForgeNarrative.net from us, as well as the podcast stuff, which I'm told now that I needed to put a separate RSS feed out there for people that don't listen through iTunes, and I did that. So now at the bottom of the page, you can just click on your RSS feed, and it does it like there's a little icon. I don't understand how this works. I just put the icons there, and I told the icons to do things, and then you can click on them, and it will do things for you.
We are totally new at this. For the last
it's just
2.5 years.
It's not what I've spent my time learning. I'm learning it because it's important, and because we can share things with people.
Paul just basically described my love life. I don't know what I'm doing, but if you tell me to do something and press certain buttons, I'll do for you. That's phenomenal.
Steve, good to see you. Gabriel, yeah, that Primark school, we thought, we want people playing 30K as much as, we play 40K because it's just that cool. It offers a much different experience for people. And if you still have moving models around, like in the 40K scene, but maybe the 40K stuff is not sitting well with you, 30K really reminds us of previous editions that were, I guess a little bit better balanced because but it has inherent balances within the game itself, and we thought what better way than to kind of tell people what the differences are from what they might expect to make it a little bit easier to get into the game.
That's some of the funnest content that we're doing too, because like my lore knowledge and stuff like that, it's really not on par. And so, like all the stuff that Chris and you and everybody else, when they chime in with what they know, like I get to learn a lot, which is pretty cool, man. Like there's so much depth, like more to what I already know. So I'm really enjoying that, and then trying to really make these like lists and stuff like that to get the true feel of the flavor of each chapter. That's
in
probably
addition
the
to
most
30K
fun.
stuff, we in the website and in YouTube and iTunes, I know there's a lot going on. We are sponsoring tournaments around the globe, and this is literally halfway across the globe. SM
Worldwide.
Battle Reports and their No Retreat 40K International Tournament. They're these are the guys that do the awesome battle reports where they take a bunch of pictures and have basically the most badass terrain you're ever going to see on a table. They're making a whole tournament. Now the tournament is limited. It's a pretty exclusive event. It's limited to 30 registrants. But each one of these tables will have their high quality terrain on it, and they're having what they call a fairly friendly, very social environment in Gibraltar. It is in Gibraltar. I'll give you it's at the Europa Retreat Center in Gibraltar, and they've got all the information on smbattlereports.com. Please check them out.
Well, it looks like.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it looks like I'm going to be proposing to my girlfriend a month later than normal because I have to buy a plane ticket to Gibraltar.
Gibraltar.
That sounds phenomenal.
These guys, I mean, they write creative missions.
I'm going to Gibraltar.
Did you just tell her that? Is that what you...
Yeah. Get on one knee and then pull out your plane ticket.
She's sitting on the couch. She's on the other side of the room right now, and she just glared at me. She was like,
Take her to Gibraltar.
I don't know.
Wait till you see some pictures. I mean, it's right there on the ocean. I mean, this looks like
I'm sure it's beautiful.
Yeah, and they posted some basically some kind of primers for people that may be coming from the UK. It's like 130 pounds plane ticket to get to Gibraltar.
Oh yeah.
Like,
preposterous.
Yeah, almost nothing to hop down there. And then the packages they have on the website for registration include like several night stays there at the place, and it's very affordable. So the experience you're going to get far above what you get at many tournaments.
Yeah, for sure.
And the cost is it's not breaking the bank to get this. And I think if you're even curious about doing it, and you're able to do it because it's in January, and I give you the exact dates are January 22nd, the weekend of the 22nd. The tournament says the 23rd and the 24th. If you can get there and you're at all curious, get one of these limited spots because I think it's going to be worth it.
Oh, for sure, man. These guys are real passionate too. Like they follow the show and stuff like that, and I think we all share that same common bond. We really want to make.
Oh yeah. If they
better.
weren't, I wouldn't be on board in pitching this if I could tell that they were not as dedicated as we are, and believe it. We just ran a tournament here, Warzone Atlanta, which Andrew, you were there. That feel was second to none here in the States, if you ask me.
I was there.
Yeah, I mean, just that sexual aspect.
It's funny that you say that because, I mean, the response from people who are at Warzone, the comments that I got, the feedback, the commentary was, this is how GT should be done. And as I recall, you were very, Paul, you and Kelly and the rest of the general staff powers that be were important in saying, like, what do we want in a GT? And let's make that happen. And it sounds like from what you're saying, and I know that just knowing you and how impossible it is to impress you, it says something that you're willing to go out on a limb and say, yeah, these guys are worthy of my endorsement.
Oh, they're doing it. What they show in their battle reports is we want to do this and line up everything, like to be this, and you're going to get that experience at their tournament. I know it. And it's in the, just look at the pictures. Go to the site, look at the pictures. They've got an event on Facebook that you can join, and I posted the event on the Forge Narrative page, Facebook page, but I know how Facebook hates everyone, and so they don't want you to actually see that. So if you look for the No Retreat SM battle reports, I think you should be able to find the link to the event and just check out the pictures, and then they speak for themselves. I don't even have to say anything. They speak for themselves.
Yo, help a brother out. If we post something on Facebook and there's a link in it, click on it 300 million times for us, so people can actually see it. Otherwise, you're the only person.
You're breaking up, Justin. Sound like Robotron over there. And in addition to that, in addition to everything that's going on, like articles like Max Dubois from Hellfire Painting also posting up some hobby articles on ForgeNarrative.net. So please check it out. That's enough of plugging for FTN stuff. You're already here, I know that. So thank you. I just want to let you know of the things that are going on.
I want to give a huge before we continue on to anything that's substantive. I want to give a big shout out to a gentleman named Bill Castello who has complimented my tie, and I want to say thank you, Bill.
It's mighty fancy.
It is a fantastic tie.
I got to step it up. I hope you come on next week and make me step it up.
I got home from work like an hour and a half ago, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to change. I'm going to blow these Forge the Narrative viewers. Blow their minds, and just rock and roll.
We're simple.
So hit me, Paul. Hit me, Paul, with your complex 40K analytics. Let's talk about those Moncov formations. Let's talk about some list building, and I want to talk to you about Adepticon. I would love to hear what you and Justin have to say about the Adepticon.
I know you've been planning this weekend, and I'm really anxious to pick your brain too about how it all came together for you, because we've got some ideas, and I'd love to hear it, kind of like a sanity check on our ideas.
Yeah,
but a lot of people are talking about this Emperor's Wrath artillery company from Montcalm.
Okay.
This is the one where you have to take a company command squad, 2 units chosen in any combination from the following list: Basilisk Battery, Hydra Battery, or Wyvern Battery. 1 unit chosen from the following list: Manicore or Death Strike. And then you have to take 1 to 3 Engine Seers. So this is obviously a nod to, like, they want to sell some tanks, which I'm cool with. I love tanks. I think it's one of the main reasons that people play Guard is the awesome tanks.
Preach.
But the special rules for this formation: the artillery command. The company commander from this formation can issue a smite at will, suppressive fire, and fire on my target orders to units of vehicles from this formation. Units of vehicles from this formation count as having leadership characteristic of 8 for the purposes of seeing whether the order has been understood.
That's not bad at all.
Yep.
So here's the thing. The first thing we got to get through, I think, that is a kind of a foundational, whether or not this formation is worth its salt at all, is how do you rule on Power of the Machine Spirit? And I hate this rules as written versus rules as intended nonsense. But
the Engine Seer lets tanks have Power of the Machine Spirit.
So
if they're within.
Right.
Go ahead.
Exactly. But Power of the Machine Spirit reads, right, you may shoot 1 more weapon than normal as if you were shooting normally, right? I forget exactly the exact language of it.
Yes.
But essentially, if you break it down rule by rule, as my friends are wont to do because they're just tedious rules manipulators. Yes, because there's 4 lawyers in our group of friends, exactly. So as these lawyers who are the scum of the earth are likely to do, they manipulate and the machinations of what exactly it means to have the machine spirit. And if you do it just clear as day, rules as written, the only time Power of the Machine Spirit matters is if you move, if your ability to shoot is affected by movement. Because the way Snapfire reads is you cannot modify Snapfire unless the rule specifically says you can modify Snapfire, which Power of the Machine Spirit doesn't. So, for example, if your Manticore suffers a Crew Shaken ability, or somebody hits you with a pen and rolls a 1, and now your Crew Shaken, right? Rules is written, Power of the Machine Spirit. does not allow you to shoot as normal, so that you have
That's the way I also interpret it, by the way. That's the way I feel about it.
which I believe that you can go eat a bag of and here's my issue with that. Because under your interpretation, and for what it's worth, Kelly Wallace's and Alexis Putt, and the three of you are phenomenal 40K players and smart people, and you read the rules. But you could also go die in a fire because it's stupid that, the only reason that Power of the Machine Spirit would matter is if this basilisk moves 12 inches, right? So you've got an engineer.
But how cool is it that you can do that, though, right?
He's just running because this basilisk is steaming along. This artillery unit is cruising at 12 inches, and that's the only time giving it Power of the Machine Spirit would matter. And as a player who loves the game, loves the rules, loves to be a tactician, but also likes to wake up and not have a guilty conscience in the morning, I hate that rules as written interpretation.
Well, okay, what you're doing is making a great case for FAQs, and we believe in them. And I kind of just, when in Rome, I just play, however anyone else wants me to play. I never try to bring an agenda with me to games. So that's kind of my piece on it. I never try to bring an agenda with me to a tournament or any kind of game or whatever. I just kind of play however. But I believe that the one that you hate is the way that I would play it casually. But I would be cool with not playing it that way if the FAQ or the judge, if they didn't have an FAQ.
And that's why I don't come to your house and play games with you, because
you can bring rules written on a napkin. I don't care.
We're gonna get you to address the 7th edition thing. Just put it on a napkin and a train station.
If I could go off on a rant for just 1 minute before we talk about this formation or whatever, I was not that long ago. I was talking with someone who has not played me casually very often. They're normally not like we don't match up in tournaments but they're getting there. They're getting there. And he says, I would like to play you because I've heard that you can be somewhat aggressive. And I was like, oh, explain, because that can mean different things. He said, well, I would just, make sure that you show me in the rules what you're doing. And I said, well, let me just stop you right now, because I don't ever beat anybody with a rule. Like, I beat you by tearing your head off or just scoring the objectives. The rules don't even matter. I just move my pieces effectively.
Yeah, remember when I pivoted that rhino a quarter inch this way? That's what beat you.
Yeah, the rules. I don't care about the rules. I care about trying to win this mission.
You are essentially the Drew Carey of Warhammer 40K. Everything's made up and the points don't matter. I'm gonna kill you no matter what. Whose line is it anyway? It's all improv. Let's go to town.
Oh, it's okay. Our Emperor's Wrath Artillery Company.
Okay.
So they also have targets sighted. Once per turn in your shooting phase, one friendly model equipped with a Voxcaster can call in target coordinates. Choose an enemy unit within 18 inches and in line of sight of that model. Until the end of the phase, models from this formation count as their weapons as twin-linked when firing at the enemy unit.
This is what I don't like about that rule. It's artillery. You're supposed to be in the back. Why do I have to be 18 inches away? That's killing me.
Well, choose an enemy within 18 inches line of sight of that model. That's equipped with a Voxcaster. So it's a friendly model equipped with a Voxcaster can call in the strike.
Oh, okay. So okay, never mind. I missed that whole part. So it's a forward observer.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of like that, but at the end of the day, it still has to be a unit as part of that formation.
It doesn't say that. It says once per turn in your shooting phase, one friendly model equipped with a Voxcaster can call in target coordinates. And then it goes on to say vehicles within or units within this formation get the rule. It doesn't say the guy with the Voxcaster has to be.
I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, at the end of the day, we're talking about a formation that could make guard not terrible. So that's fun.
It'll give you like one advantage. But like these guys right here can dig out one. I might kill one more unit of a game,
yeah.
And that might matter. I mean, it really matter. But I think that's all what we're realistically talking about.
It's took them from that bottom rung and put them like a little bit closer to the middle rung. That's about it.
Right. Well, so we actually had this conversation. It's funny that it just kind of coincidentally worked out this way that we're talking about this particular formation tonight, because I was talking about this particular formation earlier today and yesterday, And we were comparing, because we were talking about including it in our Adepticon list, and for whatever reason, the points still work out, so we can't include it in the Adepticon list. But when we were theory hammering it, we were comparing, it was either this formation versus the Forge World artillery batteries. And the Forge World artillery batteries it's an infantry unit, so it's tough 7.
Mm-hmm.
It has wounds instead of an armor value, but it's totally immobile, right? And we had 2 different.
I think you can hook it up to a vehicle that will drag it around.
Yeah, but you're paying points for that.
No,
right?
It's ridiculous. Completely ridiculous.
It's preposterous. Paul Murphy would never do it.
Friends don't let friends buy that vehicle.
Exactly. I think to myself, before I put anything in my list, I'm like, would Paul Murphy put this shit in here? And the answer is no.
You're too kind.
It's just, that's how it goes. But, so, in my opinion, and ultimately it comes down to this situation, it's like, Wraith Knights are better than Imperial Knights. Why? Because toughness is better than armor value, and wounds are better than hull points. And that's the reality of the situation. If you're going to be in a competitive environment, which we all are going to be in, some of us more competitive than others.
We're trying to eke out little advantages and weigh, pros and cons.
Exactly. So
even like in a look cooler thing, I might still go with this artillery battery because it just looks neater, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
In some situations.
Well, right, and it's one of those things that's like, okay, so I can get a Manticore. So I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Paul, and Justin, you might know this as well, but the cheapest Manticore that you're going to take is going to cost you like, what, $1.70, $1.85, some crap like that. I can get 3 Earthshaker batteries, 3 Earthshakers with full crew for 220 points. So I'm like, it's more
better all day.
It's better shooting. It's barrage. It has same strength, better AP.
It has different weaknesses. I mean, it does have slightly different weaknesses.
You got to protect it better. I mean, because it can't move. I mean, that's really it. Like, you just have to dedicate a counter assault unit around it to be able to stop somebody from charging it. You don't
Justin, you may want to toggle your microphone settings a little bit. You're like you're gargling gravel.
It sounds like you've been smoking cigarettes for 22 years, so I can understand you, but I feel bad for your kids, if that makes sense. I don't. In terms of, I'm trying to describe it for the listener at home. No, but I hear what you're exactly saying, right? Like, so the artillery is immobile, right? So if I'm playing a Thunderwolf Star or something, or a highly aggressive assault list, of which there are none in today's meta because assault is terrible, as most people are concerned. But my issue with like the Manticore and the Basilisk and everything else like that, it takes a unit. I mean, the math for 3 jet bikes to blow up a Basilisk is like slightly above average, right? You get into some side armor. They're shooting on armor 10. It's just they dismantle them, as opposed to toughness artillery carriages with T7 and all the rest.
I love them. I mean, there's like when Thud Guns first hit the scenes, like it was like you were cheating to take them.
Well, I remember the first time, and I'm relatively new to the Atlanta Warhammer 40K scene, which I maintain is a top 2 or 3 meta in the country, right?
Absolutely.
You come to Atlanta and you don't bring your big boy pants, we're going to destroy you, and that's just the reality of it. But I remember the first time I showed up to an Atlanta 40K event, I didn't know what Forge World was, right? I just crawled out of the womb in terms of a competitive 40K, and I showed up and you were there with Thud Guns, and I'd never seen them before, and I didn't know what they did. And my game wrapped up early because Thomas Bird isn't good, and I beat him real quick. And then I walked over to your table, and you were just like obliterating somebody with Thud Guns, and I was like, what do these things even do? I was just totally baffled, and then you explained it to me in about 3 minutes, and I just like walked away from the table being like, that guy's a jerk. I don't want to play it at all.
It is that way though. It's when you're like,
it was
12 templates, and I'm like, I mean, I know I hit way over here, but I'm still going to kill your entire unit. Just hold on, I got to roll these dice.
100%. That's exactly how it felt, and it is what it is. As it relates to this particular formation, because I don't want to drive too far down the rabbit hole, this formation seems super fun in a world where you're not at a competitive GT or you don't have access to the Forge World artillery carriages. Because ultimately, list building is about, can I do this better for cheaper? and cheaper both in terms of points and in terms of dollars and time for modeling. And if you want to build tanks, basilisks are cool, manticores are cool, engineers are cool, and the Forge World Earthshakers are it's like $85.
It's $1 trillion.
It's $1 trillion.
Yeah, you can't. No one's ever going to actually buy 5 of them.
Exactly. Unless you're Thomas Bird again, because he's a crazy person with a hopeless. But ultimately,
one of the things, if I can cut you off, one of the things that I think is of value when these new things that we get, I really feel like this is a formation that people have these figures already. And so this will give you something to do with the toys that you have on your shelf. And I'm not saying that like Games Workshop is throwing us a bone. I'm just saying that this is kind of like a bonus because I feel like it's good because you can now use these toys a little bit better than you could yesterday that you already own. You already are invested in these toys.
I mean, I certainly don't disagree. I mean, so I have a guard list. It's all Metal Vestroians, right? I think have you seen it, Paul?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No,
so,
it looks great.
It's beautiful. Not a big deal. It's gorgeous. But I don't have any basilisks built. I don't have any manticores built. I don't have any wyverns built because in my book, they're not good because a unit of 3 Eldar scat bikes will just
wyverns are still very good. And I have manicores because I used to never go anywhere without a manicore. Like would not go anywhere without a manicore. Like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna lob strength 10 shots at you until you cry.
I saw you at a Chili's 3 years ago and you had a manicore on the table.
That's right, just hanging out, just like ready to go.
It was just you, your wife, and your kid, and a manticore ordering some fajitas. I remember that.
So let me run down some of these questions right here. Bill, the Codex absolutely went to a very deserving. We gave it the Raven Guard limited edition Raven Guard Codex went to one of our group champions who got to pick what he wanted. He picked that Codex. Absolutely loves it. Is going to use that as the foundation for branching out to 30K and 40K. Could not have gone to a nicer person.
Are you talking about Warzone?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Didn't that go to the guy with the 5 knights?
No, that went to a guy named Jared.
Okay. I'm sorry. I thought it went to his name.
Ricky was best sport. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's one of Ricky's friends.
Okay, cool. Because I remember seeing Ricky like open it and look at it.
It's a thing to behold. It looks way better even just holding it than I thought I was going to.
Absolutely, it's a lot like me naked. It looks a lot more impressive. You're close up to it.
Well, and there was a comment. I think it came from. Oh man, I apologize. It's difficult to scroll sometimes. Yeah, Kent. The formation, I think the caller doesn't have to be from part of this formation. Guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but the way I read it, and I just read things in a very logical way, I'm not interpreting it in any way, I'm just reading it where the punctuation is in the words that are there.
Are you a lawyer, Paul? Because you covered all your bases there. You're like, I'm just reading this for what I read it as.
Man, let me tell you, one of the times that Kelly and I actually got Kelly's on the show on the podcast, but this is where we were playing in a tournament at a local RTT. We're just locked up about the definition of Brotherhood of Psychers.
Okay.
This is when the Grey Knights were there.
Of course you are.
And we're just going at it, and the tournament organizer rules on my favor. And Seth, Kelly's buddy, looks at me and goes, "Are you a lawyer?"
Exactly, right?
I'll take that as a compliment in this situation. But where I'm going is, but I think that I'm happy to be corrected if I'm missing something here. But I think that they can be in your entire army as long as someone has a Voxcaster, which we know only pretty much IG get those. That they can be the caller and spotter for the army. So yeah, a bunch of Vex squads, or if you like playing with Valkyries or whatever, or in Vendettas, dropping off command squads in the backfield, or even come in an allied drop pod. I think that's something that that could be pretty cool.
It seems like one of those formations that you have to design your list around.
I think so.
Right, because you have, and I think that it's. And I'm a firm believer that I believe that GW has, in the last 18 months, incredibly balanced the game. I think there are exclusively 2 tiers of codices. I think that there is
Orcs and Blood Angels and everyone else.
Well, I was going to go the opposite direction. I was going to say Eldar and Demons and then everyone else. But yeah, Orcs and Blood Angels, I guess, are the third tier down here at the bottom. But no, and I think that a lot of it has to do with the formations have enabled codices to fill their gaps. And by filling their gaps, everyone's on the equal playing field. I mean, you see at Warzone, for example, right? You look at the top 10 overall. You've got Tau, you've got Demons, you've got Blood Angels, you've got Eldar, you've got Eldar, you've got Eldar.
More Eldar.
You've got Eldar. And you also had, I think, at least 1,700 more Eldar players without a soul. But besides Eldar, I think that there is some equilibrium in the second tier of codices.
David Eckberg, I'm sorry, I'm mispronouncing the name, said he bought Warzone Damocles limited edition, and it's worth every single penny. I'd like to hear why. I think that the limited edition stuff is actually just really, really good. Even the Harlequins, which is like the worst codex we've seen in it forever, is beautifully done. Except the objective markers. I feel kind of cheated on the objective markers.
They feel real cheap.
They're plastic. The rest of them are metal, or at least metal coated, or pretend metal, or whatever.
It's like tanner.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever.
They sound better, by the way.
The advent calendar of Duncan Rhodes coming to our rescue, telling us how to paint Harlequin diamonds.
No, I got to see that.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
like
really
binge
good.
watching and stuff right now.
Yeah, Spencer, I'm really glad you can get in and catch us live. I'm also glad to be tuned in on YouTube. So
this is the most incredible thing ever. Reading all these comments. Ricky, Rick Addington is watching, of course. I want to tell him that my shorts are appropriate length.
Would you have puppies on them or whatever? I'm glad you look.
No, it's funny. It's funny that you mentioned the puppy shorts because Tiger Woods wears red on Sundays, and at GTs I wear my puppy shorts. And
nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that at all. And I've done well at my fair share of GTs wearing the puppy shorts. So,
well, we talk about like just tournament tactics, and I don't mean like playing, but we also talk about like how to be successful at a tournament. And part of being successful in anything, here's a life lesson, if you choose to take it as that, is ritualizing what you do.
Right. Absolutely. And I also, and this is, I'm a firm believer in Warhammer 40K players are an interesting group because they're so accustomed to their world. And their meta, they get bogged down in their local meta, and they see things and they build lists based on what they expect to be good. And I say they, including myself, right? Like, I'll show up to a big event expecting X, and it's Y. And I'm totally wrong, and I win anyway. But anyway, my point is that...
You did. I mean, your success cannot be discounted.
Well, and I guess my point is that, you know, when I show up to a Warhammer 40K tournament at a GT, I dress in the frattiest clothes possible. I wear well-pressed iron shirts and the shortest shorts possible. And every time, and I show up with Blood Angels. And I remember at 11th Company 2 years ago, I showed up with 11th Company 2 years ago, and I had a Blood Angels Vanguard Veteran Assault Squad Army. And some guy walks up to me, and he's like, dude, I play him first round. He's got 5 Eldar Wave Serpents and 3 Eldar Wraith Knights. And he just pats me on the shoulder, and he goes, thanks for coming, man. Oh, shit. Sorry.
Josh.
We're in.
You plug in those headphones. I think he's a minute behind. I'll mute him till he gets his...
Full minute?
Yeah. I'll tell him what's up. Yeah, it's Josh is subbing in for us also. He's looks like he just came from work.
Yeah, late night. I missed those days. None.
Okay.
I was just gonna say, you catch people off guard if you're not what they expect. You have a huge advantage, and I think that's a big thing that's underrated in 40K.
Yeah, I think so too. Especially when you can, there's been plenty of times you line up against somebody like, man, I'm glad I'm playing you. I'm gonna wipe the floor with you. You're like, oh, just wait a second.
Yeah, I mean that's always been like my kind of flair.
Yeah, exactly.
Just jump in, throw these wonky units together. Have a plan, and that's what I've always said. Like, if you're going to take something crazy, make sure you have a plan.
That's good advice. And basically, you have it. Don't do it for real. You know, like know where you're going with what you're doing. Don't take your stuff by accident. Oh, Max coming in Hellfire Painting, man. Thanks a lot for. Sorry, I think I put it on. Yeah, I just put it on Josh. We got to see his room. Anyway, technology. You know, it's Google Hangouts. What do you do, right? Hey, Josh, you're on mute. So if you get your headphones.
I'm trying to.
No. No, well, I get sound, but it's like you're coming through it like you're Charlie Brown's teacher. Nobody can understand what you're saying. Nobody.
Who is Charlie Brown's teacher? Who is more well spoken than most other podcast hosts?
Oh yeah.
True.
Oh no, I'm really glad that, for him being on the show. Hope he gets his act together for this video thing.
All right,
You're a great ass.
I late down, so I'm going to fix that.
Okay, well, if we're going to get to Adepticon talk, we got to go over this other Tau formation that people are talking about from Montca, and I apologize. We'll get to some more questions here in a minute. I love Sean working on his KX-139s. Like, I know what that is. Like, that's the Storm Surge?
Yeah, bro, you don't know what a KX-139 is? Like, jeez, where have you been?
Look, I appreciate the Tau folks that speak in that language. I do. I really do. Because there are some Tau folks that you can tell them, or they can tell you what version or what size a suit is just by how you name them. Like, you got the XV-897 or whatever. Like, oh, that's the one in between the Raven or the whatchamacallit and this doohickey. Like, it's right there. Like,
I have no idea what any of those things are. Like, they confuse the crap out of me. I have like my own version of names for everything, and they're not,
Look, if anybody calls that thing other than the Super Tuna, the Supremacy Armor, the Town R, I'm like, get out of here.
The reason that Tau players can do that and identify their suits by X number, XYZ letters and numbers is because Tau players are losers. And that's exclusively why. It's because if they were in high school, they'd be bullied real hard.
Andrew Whitaker, my spirit animal.
I'm just saying.
Okay, so the drone net. The formation of drone for the drone net is 4 or more units of drones. It doesn't say what kind. It just says drone net.
The strongest formation in.
Kent is saying unplug your USB mic and plug it back in. And that's what I think that was to you, Justin. And then I don't know what Josh's issue.
All right.
Good old technology. Again, it's one of those things. So, okay, 4 or more units of drones. The collective targeting data. Anytime we've seen collected, cadre, coordinated, combined, we're in for trouble. Like, that's just basically the code name for the rules are about to get bizarre.
Right.
So the collective targeting data in the shooting phase add 1 to the ballistic skill of all drones, including drones that are not part of this formation, as long as at least 2 units from this formation are on the battlefield.
So it sounds to me like that formation is best if you min those squads and take the smallest number of those formations of squads and then buff up the drones specifically from ghost keels, right? Like, because if those perks are going to ghost keel units or even drones, you take shield drones on broadsides or missile drones. I mean,
it's all the marker lights. It's basically what you're hoping for. Amazing marker lights from this. You even take your marker light drones from the drone net. And it says all drones in this formation have the intercept, jink, outflank, precision shot, and split fire rules.
Right? Like, and you're talking like 200 points, man. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I hate Tau more every day.
It really is preposterous. I hate Tau. I hate Tau every day. Justin, preach. I just want to be like that guy at like,
but don't you have some Tau?
A deep South Pentecostal church. Just put my hands in the air when you say that. I'm like yes.
Don't you have some Tau?
No, absolutely not.
I thought you had some Riptides or something.
I definitely have Tau, but they're chopped up on my bases. Every Tau bit I own is got blood coming out of something.
I sleep well at night because I have a clean conscience.
There you go. Dave is clarifying why he likes that book so much is because, and I remember seeing the picture now, it's because every one of the factions gets its own little book, and it's done up really, really nice. So, I mean, that's really cool. Thanks for sharing about that.
Mm.
Okay, so the drone net, it's very powerful, and I think because you can take marker lights to do it with coordinated firepower, but you can take drones are one of the, now you don't have to take drones, but it's one of the things you can take is your mandatory choice for the hunter cadre.
Yeah.
So
Right on.
why not? You know, and it's anyway. And the next one, the very next page, the Riptide Wing.
That's
Now,
your heat.
Yeah, this is one of those things. Now you're shaking your head, but I gotta go through what it is.
Go ahead.
If I'm really happy with how the new suits look in Tau. Like I'm a big anime mech fan, and the Tau just weren't there. They weren't good enough. Like they were trying as hard as they could, and maybe that was the best they could do at the time. But they're getting cooler. The suits are getting cooler looking. And if I could play an army of just all suits, I probably would have done it without these dumb rules I'm about to talk about.
Okay.
Thank you for admitting openly.
So the Riptide Wing is 3 units of Riptide battlesuits. Now keep in mind now Riptides can be bought in squadrons, so this is a potential of 9 Riptides from this formation.
Ugh, so stupid.
Coordinated attacks. Now what did I say? Anytime you hear one of the C word,
Ugh.
in the shooting phase, add 1 to the ballistic skill of a Riptide from this formation. If it shoots at a unit that has already been shot at this phase by another Riptide from this formation. So one guy basically opens the door for everyone else to
It's
come
like
in.
marker light, like for free, like a built-in marker light.
That's a good way of putting it. The networked reactors. Each Riptide from this formation that is within 6 inches of another Riptide from this formation can re-roll failed Nova reactor attempts.
So stupid. So they're always going to be bunched up.
I know.
This is my thing, though. Like, it's not like Riptides aren't good. Like,
You know, 9 Riptides are good?
Yeah, 9 Riptides is amazing.
Grav is too prevalent. Grav exists in too many formats. Scat bikes shoot them off board. I mean, 9 Riptides, that's your whole freaking army, right? A Riptide at its cheapest is what, 180, 200 points?
Yeah, I'm not suggesting taking 9. I'm suggesting taking 3 and then use them as like you have a unit of ghost skills. You got 50,000 drones, and you've got.
I mean, Paul, you remember? I mean, were you at 11th Company last year? I don't think.
No, I wasn't. It was this time of year is typically not good for me to get out. But.
Right. Obviously, it's not. It's difficult for everybody. But you know, we were at 11th Company last year, and you know, or 2 years ago, I guess it was, and it was a guy had 6 Riptides or something like that, and he was just blowing people up. And then the first time he played Grav Centurions with a freaking buff command, you know, a buff captain or chapter master up front, they would just blow him off the table. And it's one of those things like. I think Riptides are so good at killing things that aren't able to deal with Riptides. But as soon as you show up with something that's going to dismantle a Riptide, the whole army just comes apart.
I think you're right. And probably the thing holding me back is I look at armies, like, if I build this army right now, like I've got this, what I think is a very fun armor list. It's 2,000 points, and I want to play somebody with it so bad. It's a bunch of Centurions and a bunch of Dreadknights and Drago.
Yeah.
You know, I want to play that. I'm going to play that so bad, but I haven't had a chance to put it on the table yet. But I look at it and I say, can I win 5 games with this? And the answer is no. I might win 3 games in a row with it.
Right.
I'm not going to win 5 games in a row.
Right.
And so that's what I look at. But this Riptide, I'm not done with all the rules.
Okay. There's more. There's more to come.
Yeah. Once per battle, this formation can make a Riptide Hailfire attack. If it does so, any units from this formation that did not move in their movement phase can shoot twice in their shooting phase, making each attack at different targets if desired.
Super dumb.
That is not terrible.
Yeah,
that is correct.
You carry out the shooting attacks separately, one after the other. The units cannot move in the assault phase the same turn either.
That doesn't even matter when you're blowing everything off the table.
Yeah.
Like that's the one that makes me so angry about this one.
For one turn, it's like you're having 18 Riptides on the table.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Like, I mean, does that change your opinion at all, Andrew?
I mean, mostly no.
Okay,
I think
fair.
that at the end of the day, it's going to have huge issues. I mean, depending on the Riptide type you take, right? You can't shoot at flyers. At the end of the day, I mean, if you have anything with a 2+ save, or 2+ invuln or a 3+ invuln with Feel No Pain or any of those other things, like you're not going to kill a Thunderwolf Star with that. God forbid you run into a 2+ rerollable Jinx save Dark Angels squad, right? And because in this particular environment we're talking about, can you remove cover? There are multiple dynamics there, and I get all that. My point is that in order for a Tau player to build a list around maximizing this Riptide formation, their number of Pathfinders is going to go down, and their overall total number of marker lights is also going to decrease.
I think you're right. The reason I'm going through and reading this right now is because these are the things that, of this Mon-Ka, I think you'll see the drone net for sure.
I think the drone net is super dank.
And
I
then
think
the Riptide is going to
appeal to people who love Riptides.
And it'll do well in the
awesome.
3-round. It will do well in the 3-round tournament, I think.
I absolutely agree with you. I mean, and we've talked about this. You and I have talked about this because you've won your fair share of GTs. I've won my share of GTs. Justin has doubled both of our total number of GTs and victories, and we all know we know in order to win 4, 5, 6, 7 game tournaments, there's an element of luck there, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. It's about pairings. It's about, do you play the right player at the right time of day, right? Because fatigue plays a factor. Do you play a guy who had 3 tough games in his 4th game? That's going to be a huge deal. I remember I played Sir Nicholas Rose in the 4th game at ATC, whatever it was, 3 years ago. We were both undefeated. We were both 3-0 coming into that game. He played Eldar. I had played my 4 Stormraven list. And we yelled at each other. We were screaming at each other.
That's pretty common for him.
Well, you're not wrong. But also, we were like battling it out. And I was like, depending on where you play certain players, that's going to matter. As it relates to the Riptides, my thought is that like in a 3-round tournament, if you don't stumble into any grav, you're going to walk right through it. But God forbid you play a War Convocation because they're going to push.
War Convocation is the strongest at the 3-round, I think.
But I love it. I mean, without all the free stuff, I like the way it looks because, like, I'm glad they gave it some interesting things, but they didn't have to because all those units are kind of cool on their own.
They synergize well
on the table. It looks like a John Blanche picture.
Right.
It does. It looks super cool, and anyone who plays it, obviously.
Yeah.
Don't have to have any integrity.
Yeah. They're buddy tryhards.
Exactly.
Colin, I don't know if I gave you a shout out earlier in the thing. I am not going to the Warner Robins event next weekend, but I'm sure that there's some people from around here that are. Warner Robins is about 2 hours south, an hour and a half south
of Atlanta.
Yeah, where we are.
Okay. I would love to go. I cannot.
Josh trying again.
He's determined, and I
we need to get it. We need the sound on the camera, like point the sound. Can you get one of those whiteboards? We can. Anyway, we will get him set up. We'll get him set up for next year or next week. I apologize. Maybe next year. We're not that far away from next year. I promise he will be set up by next year. That's my decree. By next year. Okay, so Mon-Ka, there's a bunch of other crap in here that is not necessarily amazing because I think the Tau Flyers are just garbage, and but I like the look of the 8s. I don't know how effective it is, but whatever, looks cool.
It's themey. I think a lot of like true Tau fanatics are gonna really like that one.
Well, I mean, again, I like. I like all the suits, and I think that they're just getting better and better looking, and whatever. That may be what draws me. Like, I actually have a very well painted Firebase cadre because sometimes that's just what you need to do to people.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's good.
Absolutely. Every once in a while, I mean, I say this in like 100% honesty. I wish that I didn't have any moral fiber so that I could have a Tau or an Eldar army. So that when someone needed an attitude adjustment, I could blow them away. You know what I mean?
Man,
without trying.
I wish I could say.
Add that in there.
Oh, I'm a long-time Eldar player, so I'm okay. You know. What Josh saying? Yeah, just tune people up.
As if that would make it better. That's
Yeah,
the
it was
worst. That's the worst. It's like
very brief period of time where Eldar struggled. Like, and I mean like maybe like 2 weeks. They were not. They were amazing. In the history of 40K,
exactly.
there's been maybe like
it was exactly. It was 6 days in 2003, and
Yeah.
it was not like, I was 15, couldn't drive, whatever it was.
That's when Eldar were not
Not cool.
But so yes,
I remember.
Eldar,
So this is funny. Well, I was just gonna say that. So I remember I played Black Templar very competitively in 5th edition. Back when Lightning Claws, when there was no AP value on close combat weapons. So when Lightning Claws would just cut through any armor.
that was
And
beautiful.
so I would play
I loved it. Power swords.
It was absolute power swords. It was the golden era of 40K. And I just remember this one particular game. It was at XCon in Myrtle Beach. It was Neil Gilstrap ran the tournament. It was a 2-day GT at XCon, and I was playing Black Templar, and I was playing against an Eldar player round 1 of this GT, and he had 3 Wave Serpents. And this is back when Hollostones.
This is the last time anyone ever saw Lightning Claws, as Josh put in the chat. But go ahead.
You're not wrong. Well played, Josh. But it was Hollostones. So this was before hull points, right? So in order to wreck a vehicle, you either had to explode it, or get a 6, get a wreck result, or you had to just like immobilize it and blow off all of its weapons.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember he had 3 Eldar Wave Serpents, and I left a Dreadnought, a Dreadnought in close combat with an Eldar Wave Serpent for 4 turns. And every time he was like, roll 2 dice, take the lowest. And I was like, okay. It never died. It just sat there. And he won because I couldn't freaking kill the Eldar Wave Serpent. And I think that was what scarred me emotionally.
So 6th edition.
Ben's asking that list. Ben, we chat about army lists, and he's a wonderful painter, by the way. We need to post more of his stuff on our Facebook page because it's just the conversions are awesome, and I love seeing the work that he sends us. I mean, Justin, you've seen them. It's
for sure. The squad stuff that he's working on.
Yeah. It's a list. Some of the lists I mentioned to you of things that I was doing, but it's the armor and armor is it's a librarian, a level 3 librarian. 1 unit of term. It's a Grey Knight Strike Force, so Drago and then 2 Dread Knights, and then it's Chapter Master, a couple units of Scouts, 2 units of Centurions, a Drop Pod, and I think I might have Kodiaz in there. I can't remember how it all shook out points wise, but 1 pod and a Chapter Master comes in, and then Drago, 3 cents, and Kodiaz and Librarian walk up the middle of the table and gate around if necessary. So whatever. It's it's certainly not unbeatable, but it's just I think it just looks intimidating on the table.
That's one of those lists that I love, man. Yeah. Like it's hardcore. It's gonna bully. Like if played correctly against whoever's running that list, you can win. But they're gonna give you a hard time doing it.
Well,
those
I
always
like
come out to good
bullying
games.
And let me just say, I'm not talking about bullying somebody. Like you never want to be a bully at the table. You never want to influence any of that crap. That has no place in the game or in sportsmanship or in tournaments. But I like having units that make you sweat when I push them in your face. Yeah. That I'm okay with.
Yeah, shunting Dread Knights, like those are bully units.
Dread Knight Drago, this unit that's this big on the table, and you've got another Dread Knight, and then you've got a pod coming in your backfield with a Chapter Master, 4-wound Chapter Master, feel no pain, whatever he's got, all the trimmings, and the other Centurions, there's not much you can do.
Yeah, whatever you kill, congratulations, because everything else is going to kill you the following turn.
You've got to. Most people don't have enough of the appropriate level of firepower to neutralize more than 1 threat a turn.
Yeah.
So yeah, Josh, then you dictate the tempo. You basically get to you're calling the shots at that point because people really have to choose their poison. If they make the wrong choice, you can capitalize on it. But that's one of those lists that won't win. Won't win 5 games. Won't win 7 games. But I'll win probably more games than I lose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Solid 66% win ratio, I would feel.
Also, and I like those models.
Also, as an aside, I was talking to my brother over the Thanksgiving holiday. about Warhammer 40K. We were talking about it. He has a Grey Knights army, and he was talking about shunting a Wraith or a Dread Knight. And so we were talking about shunting, and my mother, I could hear her over the speakerphone shouting that we should stop cussing because she didn't know what shunting was.
You didn't tell her, say it's all 40K vernacular. We say all the S words and F words.
It was a lot more fun to hear my mother freak out about shunting. You dirty shunter, that kind of thing.
That's classic.
Well, we only have 5 minutes left tonight, so we did not get to the Adepticon chat. But I promise we will cover that on the podcast. And we will also cover it next week here on this live webcast. So, and what we're going to do is we're going to talk about, like, the team tournament, which is, I think, what we're going to speak about, has a very, very unique set of rules. It is if it exists anywhere else, it's people that have copied it from this, which they're fine with it.
Yeah, well, it's the closest thing you can think of. It's 5th edition. In terms of army construction, it's basically like go back to 5th edition, single CAD. Every forge rolled item is unique. No formations. You get one formation per. So if you think of it as a 4-player team, you have technically a 4,000-point build. You get a single formation that's sub 500 points. There's nobody can take more than 2 of any particular unit type. So for example, nobody gets. I get 2 troops, 1 fast attack, 1 elite, 1 heavy support, and that's basically it. And all the list combinations. I spent 2 hours building our team's list, and I think that we've settled on this list that we're going to build, and it took me 2 hours, and I was sitting at work for all of it, and I billed it to a different client because I'm a lawyer, so they won't know the difference.
Yeah, right. But, it's like 2 more hours of...
Exactly. I cost $250 an hour. It's fine. So I billed it to somebody else, but the list it's very difficult to build an Adepticon list, and I don't mean that in any cocky sense of the term. It's just like the limitations are real. And it really
what you have to build, you have to think outside of what you normally. You can't just say, I'm just going to fire up a 4,000-point list. You can't do that. I'm just going to bust out 2,000-point list. You can't even do that. So you have to kind of pick and choose.
Exactly, and the real limitation is.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say that. You do have to think outside the box in terms of what's going to be effective, how do you play it, how are these lists going to interact with each other.
Yeah.
And I was talking to Horton, who's a fantastic player.
Great list builder also.
Yeah,
great list builder, brilliant guy, really nice to get along with. Kind of a cocky guy. When he beats you, he reminds you of it. I know he's.
I wouldn't know. I don't get beaten very often, so.
That's probably because you don't play, but because Horton is a great guy, and also Paul. Yeah, you don't play. But
anyway, kidding. That was completely.
I know. But what Horton said was, the Adepticon format rewards the army with the strongest troops. Right? And right now, unfortunately, as is the case with everything else, Eldar has the best troops. Scat laser bikes are just real good.
Well, there are no bad choices. We talk about this on the show, how great the Codex is because everything is playable.
Yeah, their worst unit is still better than a lot of other books' best unit. So.
That's 100% right. I mean, you look at a singing spear, like, I brought some unit of singing spears, and I'm like, wow, that is actually point for point way better than an assault squad in a Marine book. So I can't really knock you for bringing that, right? You're like, oh, you brought the singing spears. Also, well played.
Yeah, right. And you just ran off all my Basilisk support batteries with them.
Exactly. I just lost in close combat because all your stuff is way better than mine. Fine. And that's frustrating, but so Eldar is going to be a problem. I think Demons and the Adepticon format are going to be a problem, especially in the team tournament, because summoning units is going to be a huge problem.
Versatility of summoning.
Exactly.
That's on our list. Demons are on our list. Eldar, I'm taking Eldar for the singles competition without a doubt. Like, unless something could change, but I'm not sure that anyone's going to want to play my Seer Council and 2 Wraith Knights.
No, certainly. And I mean, if you want to win and be super competitive, you absolutely have to bring Eldar. If you want to go to your grave knowing that you had some integrity and some honor, then you don't bring Eldar.
Hey, I've been playing Eldar for 20 years.
That's fine. That's just 20 years of sin. That's like you have to buy extra indulgences from the
Can I get some of those? Is there an internet place I can get some indulgences?
I'm in a minority, obviously, so like I just have this like jaded hatred for Eldar.
We are spirit animals.
You're not alone. I think there's a support group for people like you, and it's called 80% of the 40K players.
Exactly. Yeah. It's got everyone who doesn't play Eldar.
Anyone who doesn't own a Falcon from the time period you were talking about, and people who don't own Seer Council.
I mean, who doesn't play Eldar at this point? I think it's me and Andrew, and that's it.
And,
hey, real quick before we get out of here, because we are at our time limit, and I want to thank you all in the chat for joining us and being so active in the Q&A. And Andrew, thanks for joining us. His first time. Josh, I mean, really, I know. Look, we will get it. I will spend some time with you after the show right now. We will get it. Try to get that.
Thank you for your service. That's all I can say.
Yeah, you're right. But John is saying his Crimson Fist are almost done. Man, send us some pictures if you haven't already. I'd love to see them. You know, Denim Imagination has put up a beautiful Blood Angel army that is so nice to behold. I can't wait to see more of those. I look at the pictures and I'm like, man, it just gives you something to aspire to. I got some terrain in Black Friday I didn't even get a chance to show off tonight. I will show them off the next webcast. It's some stuff from Brush for Hire has some shipping crates that it's super low tech but also brilliant at the same time. It's like a laser cut MDF shell that goes around a cardboard container that slides in, and it comes with a stencil you can put on. I mean, it is beautiful, and it performs its function well above what it costs to get. So I will be showing them off on the next webcast. Somebody remind me, because we might run off at the mouth again.
Sounds glorious.
It's 11:02. You guys in the chat, we'll see y'all next week. Thanks again for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Good night, everybody.